I always feel like I have lipstick on my teeth. And there was one time I filmed like a 45-minute long video, and I did, and I had to scrap the whole thing because it was so distracting. I think I'm safe. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Blair Lamb and I'm so excited that you are here. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because I have more Disney videos coming, which I will talk about at the end of this video. But if you found me from our most recent Disney Alaskan cruise vlogs, I'm so glad that you have joined me here in this online space. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I have a lot of videos. I think I have about 670 or so videos that I have been putting up over the past nearly decade. And so if you want more, there is more, and I'm so glad that you're here. So my previous video where I talked about what did work well on our Disney cruise and what did not work well, specifically in light of our kids, I asked at the end if anyone had any further questions to please go ahead and leave them in the comments, and that I would create a separate Q&A video. So here we are doing that Q&A video. I was hopeful that maybe I could film this video with my husband, but it's really hard to do that because when the two of us are home, so are our children, and they're just young enough where it's really hard for us to be filming a video like this takes typically an hour to an hour and a half. And then at nighttime when they're asleep, the lighting's really bad. So I'm going to do what I can here. And then if there's anything that I feel like I want my husband's input on, maybe I'll insert a clip or two of him sharing his thoughts, even if like the lighting's bad or whatever. But anyway, I have pulled up this video on my phone. And I'm just going to go through the comments and pull out some of the questions, especially questions that were asked, similar questions that were asked more than one time, and try to address those. Absolutely, I am not some kind of expert on cruising, on Disney cruising, certainly not on Alaskan Disney cruising, but I'm happy to share my experience and perspective with you. And I would love for you to also chime in below on some of my answers if you had a different experience or something like that, so that we can all learn from each other, and especially those of you who are watching because you are heading on a cruise with your family sometime soon. So let's jump into the questions. So this cruise that we just came back from was with my husband's side of the family. It was with his mom and two sisters and their families. And so someone asked, do you have any plans to do a cruise with your side of the family? So with my parents and sister and brother. So a fun fact is that a couple of years ago, we actually had a Disney cruise on the books with my side of the family, but my sister got pregnant with her sweet third daughter, Paige. Third child, it's her second daughter. She has a son and then a middle daughter and then a little girl named Paige. And she got pregnant with Paige. And so because of the way that her due date was going, she would have been past the mark of, I believe it's 26 weeks, which is how late you're allowed to sail. And so we ended up canceling that and going to the Outer Banks to a beach house vacation, I believe, instead. I think that's what we did that year. Or maybe that was the year we went to Florida. I actually don't remember, but we had one planned and canceled it. I would absolutely love to go with my side of the family, or even go with my side of the family and Riley's side of the family and just open it up, because we all get along really well, but we'll see. So maybe in the next year or two, we could plan that. I would really love that. I would absolutely love that. Next question is, did you feel like this trip had more planning or less planning than your other cruises? So the previous two cruises that we took were in the Caribbean and they were shorter. So I definitely feel like this Alaskan cruise was a lot more planning. Just logistically getting to and from Canada is a lot. We had to make sure we all had updated passports, and we were taking an international trip and we had to go through customs. And although all of that was very smooth on our trip, it still was a lot. And then while we were there, we were trying to do the max that we could do while taking into consideration our children's ages and what they were able to do. And so we were trying to really maximize our time. I don't know that we were able to do that perfectly. I don't know what that would look like to do that perfectly. We did the best we could with having, oh my gosh, it just started pouring down rain. It's bright outside and it just started pouring down rain. I love summer rainstorms like this. Anyway, I think we did the best that we could, but I would say definitely this trip was far more planning. Next question, would you consider doing another land and sea trip, or not right now because it might burn the kids out? So we did a land and sea trip when I was pregnant with my daughter Nora in 2019. So we went to Walt Disney World for 4 days and 3 nights, I think. And then we got on a 5-night and 5-day and 4-night or 5-night, I don't remember. Then we got on a cruise through the Caribbean that stopped in Nassau and Castaway Cay. And it was so much fun. It was one of the just most special. We had just found out before the trip that we were having a baby girl, and we were just so happy. Like, thinking of that trip just brings back this warmth in my heart. Like, oh, such a good trip. I would love to do that with my kids, the same kind of trip. I think I would do it even at their ages now, but shortened. I probably wouldn't do. I would do like a few nights, maybe a 3-night Walt Disney World stay and a 3 or 4-night cruise, just so that it wouldn't be quite so long, because they do get so worn out. They've been sleeping so well, and we've been back for 2 weeks, and still I feel like their little bodies are, catching up a little bit. Maybe not as much now, but that first week for sure. This is not a question, but I had mentioned in my what worked and what didn't video that I wish we had brought a stroller. And someone commented and said that they had rented a stroller on board both the Disney Dream and the Disney Wish. And that totally blew my mind. I had no idea that was an option. And that is something we will for sure be looking into for future trips. So just a nugget of wisdom that I have learned from you guys. So thank you to Emily for sharing that, because that's extremely important information. And I really appreciate it. Okay, another question was, I was wondering, how was the noise in the cabins? Did you have any issues with hearing people next to you or toilets flushing or anything like that? Not that I can recall at all. I think you can definitely hear the toilets that, like when you flush a toilet on any of these cruise ships, it is so loud. I guess because of the waste system that is in place, it's just a really loud toilet flush. So I think that there was probably some of that you could hear in cabins maybe above or beside us, but I'm not even clocking that in my memory as I'm telling you this. And I'm very sensory sensitive. Like, I notice noises and sounds. That's what noises are. Smells. Like, I notice sensory input like that, because it will start to irritate me a little bit, to be quite frank. And I never remember being annoyed in any form or fashion with noises on the ship. We did use a white noise machine at night. We have a white noise machine in every room in our house, our kids' bedrooms, our bedroom. I've always had one my whole adult life. So we just used that at night, and I had absolutely no issues with noise. If people are walking down the hallway, where the staterooms are located, and they are being particularly loud, you might hear muffled voices. But I feel like the cabins are exceptionally quiet for how packed in you are on a cruise ship. I don't feel like it's loud at all. And that's coming from someone who like I said, I'm very sensitive to noise. I just don't feel like it's very loud. The only day where the noise was bothering me, I was actually filming. It was when they were testing out those life raft safety boats, those big yellow boats, and they kept lowering them and raising them. And I'm not complaining. Clearly, I want those to be in perfect working order. But the noise of the cables running went on for a long, long time, and it was loud. That was the only day that I noticed a noise that started to kind of get at me. So the answer is no, I didn't notice any noise issues at all. This is another great tidbit of information. And this person said, just wanted to let you know that your placeholder must be used within 2 years of booking and not 3. Because I had mentioned in the previous video that we did book a placeholder. We used the placeholder to book this cruise that I'm just talking about here. And that is correct. I misspoke when I said that you can book any cruise within 3 years. It's actually within 2. So we're going next year, so it's well within that time. But just so that you know, I do want to make sure I'm sharing correct information. So I appreciate the person who corrected me on that. Someone said, my biggest question on the cruise is, can you please explain tipping as far as where, when, and how much you tip? So this is always difficult, because tipping culturally is very different from country to country. And then on the cruise ship in particular, typically what you do is on the night before you disembark and you're getting off of the ship, you are given tip envelopes in your stateroom that have the names of, the positions of the folks who you would tip. So for example, your stateroom host, that's the person who comes and cleans your stateroom and tidies it and does your towel animals for you. The head server, the lead server, the server that was at your table. And there are a handful of tipping envelopes. And there are a couple of different things you can do. You can bring cash, and they kind of give you a recommended amount that's based on each person per day times the number of days, or you can prepay your gratuities so that when you are disembarking, you basically get these little strips that say, you know, you have prepaid gratuities, here's the amount. It's kind of weird. And so you put that in the envelope. And then if you want to, you can present that envelope to those people, or, you know, for your stateroom host, you can leave it on your bed or whatever that last night. So that's kind of how that goes. As far as tipping throughout the cruise, the only thing I can really think of is when you go to a bar or to the coffee shop. It's nice to bring some dollars with you so that you can do some tipping there for the baristas who are making your drinks, or for the bartenders who are making your drinks. And I think that that would be just about it as far as on the actual ship. So really the main bulk of tipping on the ship is on that last night. So either want to do your research ahead of time and bring the recommended amount in cash, or just do the prepaid gratuities ahead of time so that you have that all taken care of. And then you can also add some extra cash in if there was anyone who really went above and beyond, which they truly always seem to go above and beyond. So that's on the ship. Now, once you get off of the ship, when you're doing excursions and things, many of the excursions that we went on, there was either a tip bucket, or the tour operator mentioned we do accept tips, the bus drivers or transportation, that kind of thing. So we took a lot of cash with us in broken down denominations. So not in like $50 and $100 bills. We brought a lot of 10s and 5s and things like that so that we could tip folks accordingly throughout our trip. I am really, really big about tipping. My parents always instilled in me like this obsession with making sure to tip everyone very generously, because honestly, the people you're tipping are the people who are making your day and your cruise and your vacation what it is. So I'm going off on this whole soapbox here, but tip people really well. When you can, tip people generously, tip people well. In my opinion, if I am taking the time and the effort and the financials to travel to some place like Alaska, it's very necessary then to bring those extra few $100s in cash to make sure that everyone who is helping you out during your cruise is being tipped well. Also, bellman at the hotel, of course. If you order room service, you would tip. And then we also tipped we hired a driver to and from the Vancouver airport. And so there was a prepaid fixed price for that transportation. And then we also tipped on top of that. So there's quite a bit of tipping going on. That's kind of standard in American, Canadian travel, I would say. I know it's a bit different in other parts of the world, but I hope that kind of explains the broad brushstrokes overview of tipping and the tipping culture here and on a cruise. Someone said, it's such a shame you didn't get a chance to really explore and experience Alaska beyond the immediate port areas. Maybe when the kids are older, it will be a little easier. 100% agree with you. There's so much more that I wanted to do, that Riley and I both wanted to do, but we had little kids. So to back up, this trip was a very, very generous gift from Riley's mom to her 3 children and their families last Christmas. So she purchased all of our staterooms for the trip, and that was one of the most incredible and cool gifts we have ever received. It was like the gift of a memory is just so cool. And we had so much fun, such a great time. And it was really neat because my son, who's the youngest one in the group, was 3. He still is. And my mother-in-law turned 70 in March. So from 3 to 70, we all had a great time on this cruise. We were so grateful for this trip, and it was truly awesome. But I would agree that if you are planning on going to Alaska and you're deciding when you want to go when your kids are a bit older. It was hard with little kids to see and do Alaska to the max that we would have wanted to. The other thing is, I don't think that truly seeing Alaska is done through a Disney cruise. And I don't say that with any intention other than neutrality. Like, I just don't think that that would be the best way to really, really see Alaska. My husband and I have been talking about maybe in like a decade, when our children are 13 and 15 years old, we could fly to Alaska and rent a car and really like see it, like go to a dog sledding camp and do some hiking and all the outdoor activities and go to some of the really cool natural sites that we didn't get to see. Like, there is so much more, infinitely more than what we got to see. I completely agree. I don't view it as a shame. I view it as this was just what this trip was. This trip wasn't the time in our lives, like this commenter mentioned, because of our kids' ages, to really see everything in Alaska. But I hope that we get to go back, like I said, maybe in 10 years or so when the kids are older and really get to see it and do all those things that just are not feasible at this stage. So if you're contemplating Alaska and it would be very important to you to do every single Alaskan excursion and really, really see it, I would say go when your kids are older, or go as a couples trip and, have your kids stay with grandma and grandpa or something like that. So I very much agree. And I would love to return and see more in a more authentic way. But this was a really cool way to see Alaska for what we could see and also have young children, like a 3 and a 5-year-old, be very, very entertained. And we love Disney, of course, too. But princess parties and all these really neat things that were going on the Disney side of things, while also getting to actually see some little bits of Alaska. I hope you see what I'm saying there. So I'm under no delusions that, we really did Alaska and we saw, clearly not, but we had a really good time. Someone asked, what items Travelwise did you purchase and what was a hit or a miss? So the biggest hit, I would say, was our over-the-door hanging organizer, and we brought those heavy-duty magnets. We affixed them to the ceiling. We had no issues with scratching. We had no issues with security deposits being revoked. Nothing like that. We hung that up, and it allowed us to have so much organization vertically in our little stateroom for all those little things that are always just floating around the stateroom in piles, and they were all organized, and that made our time in the stateroom and just the organization factor a lot better. I really, really, really loved that. The kids' Crocs boots were a huge win. Also, the kids' Amazon Basics puffer jackets, they come in these little tiny, you can shove them into these little tiny pouches, and then they unfold into big puffy jackets. And we loved them because we could stick them in our bags and they were so small. But then if the kids needed a puffer, we could just pull it out. So they were perfect. They were absolutely perfect. I loved those. Like I said, the Crocs boots were great because they were super lightweight to travel with, but they were waterproof. So the kids wore those a whole lot. Packing in layers was definitely the name of the game. I don't think there is anything else that I could mention that was really different or anything like that. But I felt like I had packed so much when we were leaving, and I was frustrated that I couldn't narrow it down anymore. But then upon return, I realized that we really did use almost everything we packed, and it was just the kind of trip that warranted a lot of options and a lot of different layers for every different season. I'm sorry I don't have a more specific answer, but I will say that that over-the-door organizer was really great. And a couple of those kids things. Someone said, I would love to get the details on how you left the ship with the kids in the kids clubs. I actually did not know this was even an option until we were on the ship, and then the amazing cast members who were in the kids clubs said to me, if you want, you guys can disembark and your kids can stay here for a few hours. And I was shocked by that. And so what you have to do is you have to go, when you check the kids in the kids club, you tell the cast members where you're going, how long you're going to be off the ship, and kind of give them an estimated time to come back. So both times that we got off the ship for maybe 2 hours in Juneau and 2 hours in Ketchikan. In Juneau, we never went back out, but in Ketchikan, we came back on the ship and ate with our kids, ate some lunch, and then we got back off as a family of 4 and went to the lumberjack show and walked around a little more. So that was really fun. But we just told them, and then you give them your cell phone number and they text you or call you if there's anything that comes up. But it was a really nice way for us to get to go and explore and bop in and out of shops and things like that, and not have to worry about our kids. And our kids, one of the days actually both days, because Juneau was the morning, I think, when our son was having a really hard time and he was fussy. And so we said, you don't have to get off the ship with us. If you don't want to, you can stay here in the kids club. And he was like, that's what I want to do. And then his sister felt the same way. And she said, I want to stay too. So that's when they stayed on the first time. And then the next day we gave them the same option again and said, okay, we're going in, to walk around and go into the shops. Do you guys want to come with us or do you want to stay on the ship? And they said they wanted to stay on the ship again. So it made for a really fun times for all, because they had like Olaf came to visit them in the kids clubs. They did all these really cool crafts. They had these music games. They had it was just really, really fun. The kids loved it. My dog is barking. And then they also in the afternoon on Catch a Can got to come. So it wasn't anything special. We just told them how long we were going to be gone. The thing is, though, they do not feed your kids any food at all. The only thing that the kids have access to is water. And so you want to make sure, like that's why we were only gone for 2 hours. So we did breakfast with them, dropped them off. And then after 2 hours, we went and grabbed them and we went and did lunch and ice cream and all that kind of thing. So you just want to make sure your kid's not hungry. So, but it's a nice option for just getting a little moment, as a couple. Especially if your kids, like ours, were just completely obsessed with the kids club. It made it such a win for everyone in the family. The next question was, were you on the same sailing as Tim Tracker? We were, which I did not know until we disembarked because I never saw him or his family on the cruise ship. And I guess I wasn't looking for him necessarily, but I did not see him. Someone commented on on my embarkation day vlog that they could see him in the background of my shot also filming. So it's confirmed that we were on the same ship, but we never unfortunately had the chance to say hi or meet them. So that is the story. But yes, we were. Isn't that cool? Someone said, I would love to know your favorite food items and drinks, including coffee, that you had at each restaurant or coffee shop while on board. So Cove Cafe is the coffee shop and they have so many great things. Riley loves their cold brew, so he always gets the cold brew. And if he were here, he would say 100% the cold brew. I love a vanilla latte or a caramel latte, so I got those hot both a couple of times. The Nola iced coffee from the French Quarter bar, which serves coffee during the day. I think it also serves alcohol, like Bloody Marys and stuff, even early in the morning. Was incredible. That was the best coffee I had on the whole trip, was that Nola iced coffee. And I feel like I discovered it too late in the trip. I wish I had known about it earlier so I could have gotten it a few more times. I had a Shirley Temple, a non-alcoholic Shirley Temple, just Sprite with grenadine and cherries every night with dinner. Shirley Temples are like my kryptonite. It is so funny how much I love those things. So I ordered one on the first night and then our server brought me one every single day with dinner, which was such a fun and special treat and totally not something that I would do at home. So I absolutely loved that. As far as food, on the first night at Tiana's, I got to have baked Alaska, and it's a dessert. I've always wanted to try it, and it was phenomenal. I absolutely loved that baked Alaska. The caprese salad was very delicious. Really the best food, of course, is all from Palo. We loved it. It was so good. We loved it, loved it, loved it. Every single thing we ate there was amazing. I can't stop thinking about it. Gosh, it was delicious. So yeah, I mean, we had really great food throughout the trip. The chicken skewers in Animator's Palette were noteworthy. I felt like those were delicious. They came with like a spicy peanut sauce. I really liked those. All the room service food that we got was delicious. The ice cream. We had great food the whole entire time. The next question is, I have a question for you. If your kids might need you while they're in Kids Club, do you know how you will be contacted? We have only gone on Carnival with our kids before, and they gave us a phone that would be directly from the Kids Club, but I've not heard anything about how Disney handles that. So there's a Disney Navigator app. It's a Disney Cruise Line app, and you will use it for the duration of your trip because it gives you all the information you need about where you're eating dinner, menus, times, disembarkation times, getting back on the ship times, sailing, just everything. It's super helpful, and even like your linked photos that they've taken, everything, when you can see characters, what time the shows are. It's just everything is in that app. And in that app, you are connected to the kids' clubs. So if your kids ask any of the, I always want to say counselors, but cast members in the kids clubs for anything, it immediately texts you and you get a notification like you would get a text message. And so there were a couple times, like one time it said, Colin is feeling sleepy. And so we went and picked him up and we went and put him down for a nap. Or it will say, Nora's ready to be picked up. Like they just send whatever the kids said. And then we always just went and got them right away after they would send us those messages. So they can also call or text you with like more specifics, but for our kids, there was never any like emergent issues or anything. It was just they were sleepy or they were ready to leave or whatever. And so we would just handle it that way. Also, you could use that same app to text in your group. So we did that a whole bunch within the Navigator app, texting because we were in this larger group of extended family. And that was really nice as well. Now it's sunny. I bet there's a good rainbow outside. it's cloudy though. Someone asked, are you doing fish extenders next time? So if you don't know, outside of every Disney cruise room is like this little fish, almost like a little hook thing. And you can hang, almost like hanging baskets on it. I don't know, the pouches kind of, and you get on a Facebook group before your cruise, and then you exchange gifts with other families on the cruise, and they call them fish extender groups because you put this extender with these like pouches on it on this fish. I feel like I explained that very poorly, but there you have it. I don't know if we're going to. In one way, I think it would be really fun. In another way, it feels like a bit of a headache trying to make sure to like be bopping all over the ship to deliver all the gifts. And I don't know. It's not ultra appealing to me. Maybe as our kids get a little older and they're more able to be participating in it and can be the ones to like, because it would be all on me to like do all the organizing on Facebook, like with the group or whatever, and then get everybody's information and get all those gifts and pack all those gifts. And I would want to make it really nice. And that doesn't feel super accessible to me at this time in my life, but maybe a little later. Did you think it was worth it purchasing waterproof shoes for everyone? Yes, I did. We were very lucky that we had a very sunny week while we were up in Alaska, but it's typically a very, very rainy place. And I think it is awful to be walking around with, wet socks and wet shoes. So I do think that purchasing waterproof shoes for everyone is a really good idea because you just don't know. There are some cruises where it rains the entire time, pours down rain. And then there are some like ours where we didn't really see any rain, but even the days that we disembarked, it was kind of wet. So especially if you're going to do some of the more hiking and more outdoorsy excursions, or like when we went whale watching, we all wore our waterproof shoes. So yeah, I do think that that's worth it. Do you think the amount of exhaustion on the kids would discourage you from wanting to go on another cruise? Will you wait till they're older? As I mentioned earlier, I will definitely wait till they're older to do Alaska again. But the cruise was such a win with kids because you have access to your stateroom instantly at any time. So if your kids are tired or hungry or they just need a overstimulation break or whatever, you can get to your stateroom so fast. And that is so different than other types of vacations where you go out for the day and you're away from your hotel room. And so that the accessibility of it was fantastic. The time difference was so hard on us. That was really hard. So if we were going to go back to Alaska, I would do it in some years. I'm not like signing my life to that because maybe we would go sooner than that, but I'm just saying like, yes, I agree that with little kids, it's more difficult. This was a family trip and that's why we went when we went. I do think like we're going to go to the Caribbean on our upcoming cruise. And I'm really looking forward to that because the time difference will be so much in our favor because it will be Eastern time. And so we'll be an hour ahead there, just 1 hour and an hour ahead. So if anything, I think it'll be easier for our kids to be up late and whatever because it will be 8 p.m. there. It will feel like 7 p.m. Central time. I think that will be great. And then just like they can swim. It feels like it's maybe more kid type activities because it's less rugged, so to speak. So that's kind of my thought on that. I think cruising on any cruise line, that would suit you and your family is just such a great idea for 3-year-olds to 70-year-olds, like I said earlier, because there's so much to do and everyone can take their own pace and figure it out. And I just really thought that worked out really well for our family. And I'm eager to do it, hopefully many more times because it was just so special. It was so fun. I think actually just now, I had ordered my mother-in-law a gift to give her as a thank you for this amazing trip. And I just heard the doorbell ring and I think it just got delivered. So I'm going to go grab it and you guys will be the first ones to see it. And then we'll go over her house this evening and gift it to her. It was actually spare toothbrush heads for my electric toothbrush. So not a really fun and special gift. Just toothbrushes. I will, before I upload this video, I will overlay some footage here of the gift. So I ordered it from a company called FrameBridge. I've used that company a lot for different gifts over the years. And so it's a framed picture of the entire group that went on this cruise with a little placard at the bottom. And Riley will go over, Riley, my husband, if you're new around here, he'll go over and hang it wherever she wants in her house if she wants to hang it up. And that way she has something to look on. And we're so grateful for her generosity because this trip was something we'll truly never ever forget. I know I keep mentioning that, but sometimes someone gives you a gift that you just can't believe and you just never will really believe it because it was, you know, so wonderful and so incredible. Thank you for all of the questions. I didn't get to every single one, but I got to quite a few. So I hope that those last lingering questions were helpful. If there's anything else, you can leave them below and I can try to answer those questions or others can try to answer those questions. Many people watching here have a lot more experience cruising and a lot more Alaskan experience than I do or ever will have. So it's nice to be able to learn from each other, but I really appreciate you being here. As always, I would love if you would like, subscribe, turn on the bell for notifications. We are going to Disney World in October, and I am so excited about that. We're going to do Mickey's not so scary Halloween party. I almost said very merry Halloween party, and then I thought that's not right. We're going to do the Halloween party. We are doing this trip a little differently. We booked our flights with points and we booked our hotel. We're staying at the Swan with credit card points. So we're trying to see if we can scale it back a little bit in terms of the spendiness because Disney has just become so exorbitant. So we'll see. We'll see how that all kind of goes for us. And I'm really looking forward to giving it a try, but still hopefully feeling like we're in the Disney bubble since we'll be right on the boardwalk. So make sure you're subscribed for that because that will be here shortly. Like we're already in July and that's in, you know, a couple more months. It will be time to start with the packing and prep videos and our Mickey's not so scary Halloween party costumes that we're picking out and like all that kind of stuff. So really appreciate you being here. Also make sure to check out my shop. I just launched our July shirt of the month, which is $20 shipped within the US and the youth sizes are $15 shipped within the US. I'll put a picture here so you can see what it looks like. It says find your happily ever after on a light blue Comfort Colors t-shirt. It's screen printed in a darker blue ink. It turned out very, very cute. I love it. That is one of my husband's original designs. He does some of the designing. I do some of the designing. We license art from other designers sometimes, but this one was an original Riley Lamb. So very, very fun. Anyway, thanks for being here. I really appreciate you. This is the very, very end of this Disney cruise series for now, but we have a Disney World trip coming up and then we have that other cruise series that will be in the new year. And I'm really looking forward to all of it. So make sure you're subscribed and you don't miss it. Thanks for being here. Thank you again for watching this video. If you haven't already, I would really, really love and appreciate if you would check out my online shop, which is blairlambdesign.com. I'll make sure to leave a link below in the description box so you can just have easy access there. I have tons of really fun tees and sweatshirts and lots of Disney-inspired designs, so I would love for you to go ahead and take a look.